And we are back. What's up, everybody? This is the Black Avenger, Lee Sanders, coming at you live right now as it's a new Impact Showdown radio coming at you at the 10 o'clock hour on September 6th, 2012. Do thank those of you that are checking out tonight's show right now as we are up live on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. For those of you that are used to checking out our live episodes in progress on our home website over at InfinityOneProductions.com, we're doing a little bit of website maintenance, and we're going to be doing so for the next couple of weeks. So you won't be able to access live episodes. We will have the newest episode available for downloads and listening purposes after we get done, doing the live shows as usual. But for the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing some fine-tuning to the website. So you're not going to be able to hear our live stream episodes. But, hey, not that bad. You get to listen to it live on Blog Talk as we have a chat room that is up and loaded. Feel free to jump on in there. You can find it by hopping on your computer and hop on to blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show, and you'll be able to run into our chat room that way. I was debating on whether or not we were going to open up our phone lines to get you all's reaction to what all we just saw on a pretty solid episode of TNA Impact Wrestling. However, I had came across a little bit of unfortunate news that I was reading that had something to do with a former TNA WWE wrestler, and I definitely want to dedicate enough time into talking about that. So we are not going to open up the phone lines tonight, but have no fear, we will be opening up the phone lines for our RCWR Post Show when we get ready to cover the No Surrender pay-per-view. So tonight we aren't going to have any phone calls. So those of you that usually call into the show, just kick back, relax. You're definitely going to like what all I have to say tonight, especially with this piece of news that I have found out. Definitely before this night is over, I'm going to be sending a loud message that will definitely be felt loud and clear. So do hope, though, in the meantime, you guys had a fantastic holiday weekend. Y'all were able to catch up on some rest. Y'all were able to get your eat on. Y'all were able to kick back, and you were able to chill with your loved ones. Hopefully you didn't have to work during the Labor Day holiday. A little bit of a nice rest for us. We're back. We're refreshed. We're recharged. We are ready to go. It feels so good to be back. It's been a pretty active week in wrestling so far. We're definitely going to get you guys caught up on what all you missed on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, just in case you missed it. And we'll also get you caught up on the very latest in TNA wrestling-related news. Of course, as always, you can interact with us during the course of tonight's episode as we have the chat room that's open up. And you can also feel free to interact with us on Twitter, as I am at, where are we at tonight, folks? We at Red Lobster? No, we're not at Red Lobster. But you can hit us up on Infinity One Prod on Twitter. You can hit me up personally at Mr. Sandman Lee on Twitter. But again, we're on Twitter at Infinity One Prod. While you're at it, take the time out. Hit us up on our Facebook page. We love hearing from you guys on Facebook, as whenever we are not on the air and whatever we don't post on our home website at Infinity One Productions, you can always check out our Facebook page, as we have a ton of stuff that's posted on there, random stuff. Really cool page. You'll definitely like it. All right, so, we saw a pretty good, solid installment of TNA Impact Wrestling tonight. I definitely was looking at this episode, and I'm saying to myself, all right, I definitely like what's happening with tonight's show. I love the fact that we're making that drive going into the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. I mean, I don't know about you guys that had happened to see the episode, but they definitely got me amped up for this pay-per-view. I cannot wait to see this. I'm just, ready to find out who is going to be possibly the number one contender when the dust has settled, and we know who's going to be taking on Austin Aries for his TNA World Heavyweight title at the Bound for Glory pay-per-view. I just can't wait. So for those of you guys that missed tonight's Impact Wrestling, definitely let's get you guys caught up on what all you had missed, as we had to kick it off at the top of the show where we had got a recap of the events that had happened last week. As remember, folks, we had saw the Aces and Eights for another consecutive week proceed to give a beatdown to Austin Aries. And I know myself and as well as many other TNA wrestling fans were looking at this and we're kind of saying to ourselves, okay, hopefully they don't repeat this again and we have Austin Aries get attacked again. But what happens? Well, Austin Aries, he would get attacked by the Aces and Eights again tonight. Not necessarily by a ton of people, but he would still get attacked again by the Aces and Eights. I'll definitely touch up on that, as this was pretty much what had closed out the show. But one of the main key highlights that kept being hyped up on tonight's episode was the fact that we were getting 2 Bound for Glory series matches, as when all the dust settled with these 2 matches, somebody was going to be eliminated tonight. And our first Bound for Glory series match, we saw Jeff Hardy take on the Samoan Machine, Samoa Joe. I was really loving this match. It was nice to see these 2 guys hook it up once again. And I was just really kicking back, and I was just loving this contest between these 2 guys. What better way to open up Impact Wrestling than with an actual wrestling match? I was just really in awe over this. Both of these 2 guys, they were just really bringing it. I was very pleased. It was just really awesome. We actually saw Jeff Hardy do the unthinkable, and for those of you that had took the time to actually interact with me, as I made a rare appearance on our Twitter page interacting with you guys during tonight's episode, I said, man, I cannot recall the last time I saw Jeff Hardy make somebody tap out. That's right, Jeff Hardy made Samoa Joe tap out with his own modified version of an Anaconda Vice, if you will. And I was just very stunned at what I had saw happen here. Great match. That was a move that totally just came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that. I loved it. Great match right here. This was a 4-star quality type of match as far as I was concerned. It was really awesome. Now, from there, folks, we also had saw a recap from last week, as it's revealed that the guy that attacked Austin Aries with that pair of, I guess it was a pair of pliers or something that he had attacked Austin Aries with over the head last week, well, it turns out this guy is one of the TV production crew people, as Hulk Hogan reveals this information to Aries. And he tells him that security, they've detained him, and Austin Aries, he gets to have his way with this guy. He gets to extract information out of him, try to figure out just who exactly is he working for, who's behind the Aces and Eights. Basically, Austin Aries now has the opportunity to figure out the identity of these members. And definitely a really nice moment right here, as you're kind of saying to yourself, finally, tonight is possibly going to be the night that we're going to be able to finally get some answers, as it just seems like the storyline with the Aces and Eights just always seems to continue to find legs and survive every single week. From there, folks, the action continues now as we see the lovely Christy Hemme is trying to get in a few words with Samoa Joe, as Magnus would crash the scene complaining about his loss to Samoa Joe 3 weeks ago. Now, Magnus would explain his attack on Samoa Joe, saying how there used to be a time where they were very good as a tag team until Samoa Joe turned into a self-serving maniac. And from there, Magnus tells Joe that no biggie, it's all in the past. He wishes him nothing but luck, but then comes back from behind, sucker punches Samoa Joe and just proceeds to beat him down. As from there, folks, a new segment that is going to be permanent, at least for the near future, in TNA Wrestling. Looks like they're going to do some type of a Challenge Thursday where basically every single Thursday night a champion is going to have to defend their title, but Hulk Hogan is going to sit up and he's basically going to go through a process of elimination of contenders to possibly face the champion. So this week we have Kazarian and Daniels, who, as we already know, have not been on the good side of Hulk Hogan or Sting, for that matter, ever since it was revealed that they truly were the ones behind this whole Claire Lynch scandal, as she wasn't pregnant. We already know the whole deal with that. So Hogan, Sting, those guys, they definitely are not really too keen on Daniels and Kazarian right now. We see Chavo and Hernandez, Gunner and Kid Cash, Little Robbie, Big Robbie. They all are getting into heated debates about why they feel they should be the ones to take on the TNA Tag Team Champions. Well, all of a sudden, Austin Aries, by his lonesome, would come crashing the scene and say that he, too, deserves to have a shot at the TNA Tag Team titles. And Hulk Hogan, I mean, very quickly, we would hear Hulk Hogan say, "Brother, I'm sorry, AJ Styles, you are eliminated. You can't just come in here, be a one-man band. There's just no way I'm not going to have you hold on to the tag team titles by your lonesome. It's just not going to happen. You have no partner. Sorry, you're eliminated. It's an easy one." So that's it for AJ Styles. As we see the other guys, they're sitting up and they're seeing that, okay, AJ's eliminated. Okay, now we can really continue to get on with business. As from there, folks, we ended up seeing next up a special plug for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view that's going to be coming up, as happening October 14th. If I'm not mistaken, the same night that we'll be getting the actual pay-per-view. I'm looking at the calendar right now, and yeah, it is. Same night that we get the pay-per-view, just 30 minutes or hour prior to the event, we're going to see this Bound for Glory special on Spike TV that's basically going to serve as a pre-show, and they'll actually show a live match just to get you guys ready for the actual pay-per-view itself. Again, that's going to be happening October 14th on Spike TV. That should be very interesting. Very curious to see how that does in the ratings. If it proves to be somewhat moderately successful, maybe we might be able to see more specials like that. As our second match of the evening, we had saw Tara take on Gail Kim. This was a knockouts match that I was really invested in, and I was just sitting back and I was saying to myself, man, Tara's got a nice little shape going on in the back there. I don't know if you guys was peeping that out tonight, as she had nice little white attire on. It was really showing off her figure pretty good, especially in the back there. I definitely was liking what I was seeing right here. But wrestling-wise, it was definitely on point. I always love it when Tara and Gail Kim hook it up. Now, this match was the result of Brooke Hogan laying down her decision to basically reward Tara for beating Miss Tessmacher the week before, and she's going to be able to take on Tessmacher again at the No Surrender pay-per-view, but this time, folks, it's going to be for the TNA Knockouts Championship, and this would prompt Gail Kim to come in, and I just love how she is the only one right now that is basically bashing Miss Tessmacher, saying, how you going to give that piece of ass a championship match? I haven't even had my rematch. I mean, Gail Kim, she's just really selling it. She's really pushing that whole, it needs to be about class and not about ass. Well, we would see Brooke Hogan sit up, and she would make this match between Tara and Gail Kim, since Kim was looking for a fight so bad. Tara, we would see the lovely Tara pick up the victory right here. Main highlight of the night, one of my favorite highlights, we got to see a TNA Gutcheck recap that was revolving around one Joey Ryan from about 4 months ago and how he had got voted down by the TNA Gutcheck judges, and it was just a really nice short video that just caught us up to date on everything that has been happening as we've seen Joey Ryan just continuously crash the scene of Impact Wrestling every couple of weeks, and he took his sucker punches at Al Snow, poured a drink in Al Snow's face. Well, perfect setup right here as we would see Al Snow come down to the Impact Arena, and he would actually call out Joey Ryan as he had heard on good authority that Joey Ryan was in the building. And Joey Ryan, he was in fact in the building. He was somewhere in the crowd. He would come into the ring. Al Snow, he lays it out simple for Joey Ryan. He says, look, you want another shot to prove that you deserve a TNA contract. Okay, you go on ahead, you go through TNA Gutcheck again, you face a person in a wrestling match, you win, you get your contract. It's that easy. Joey Ryan, as far as he's concerned, he sat up, he did everything that was necessary to do what he needed to do to win the judges over. He feels that they did not sit up and they didn't do what was necessary to make things right the first time, so he really doesn't feel the need to sit up and do this. That's his opinion. That's what he's sticking to. Well, Al Snow, he would kind of play that whole card of basically Joey Ryan being scared and what does he have to lose, basically. Joey Ryan would eventually accept the challenge as Al Snow would reveal that, hey, the person you're actually going to be taking on for that contract is going to be me. And Joey Ryan, all of a sudden we start to see Joey Ryan back down. Very nice change of development here. We see him starting to back down, and he's saying to Al Snow, look, not really sure you should be getting in the ring with me. Spandex is a bit outdated, don't you think? Your time has been up for a good number of years now. Al Snow, he said, hey, look, I will be willing to take you on in a street fight match. Doesn't matter to me. And we just see him pimp slap the heck out of Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan, I mean, he sold this slap to the face perfectly as he's holding on to his face, and he's saying to Al Snow, oh, you hit my face, I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue you for all you're worth. I'm going to own all of this, as he just left the ring proclaiming he's going to be suing Al Snow. Really awesome moment that we saw right there for that particular segment. Next up, folks, we had got to see in a backstage pass, Al Snow actually sell that segment that he did with Joey Ryan. And for those of you that did not check out Backstage Pass, it was actually pretty decent tonight. They did something that I thought just made a lot more sense tonight with their Backstage Pass edition, which you can see on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you can also see it on Impact's website over at Impact Wrestling Chat, I believe is the name of the website, where they show a lot of love to the people that are interacting with them during the show. If you are in the chat room talking with everybody, it's really cool stuff. Definitely recommend you check it out. Of course, you got to keep in mind you're not going to be able to share links and all that other type of stuff in there. Your best bet would be to sit up and go on YouTube where there are no restrictions and look at it on Twitter as well. But all the segments that they showed on the Backstage Pass, it made a lot of sense. It was really cool because you got to see pretty much every single body that was involved on live TV in a segment. They actually ended up running into Jeremy Borash for a few words to kind of help further along that storyline. So I thought that was very brilliant, very well smoothed how they executed it tonight. Let's hope that they continue that trend, as it was pretty solid. As from there, folks, we see a backstage segment now we go to for Impact Wrestling Live where Bully Ray bumps into Joseph Park, and he has concern for Joseph because he knows that he's been hired by Hulk Hogan and Sting to try to dig up whatever he can on those damn aces and eights. And Bully Ray, he says pretty calmly to Joseph, hey, can you tell me what all have you found out about aces and eights so far? Mr. Park, he would inform Bully Ray that, hey, I'm not really at liberty to share that information, as that only needs to be shared with Hogan and Sting. Bully Ray, he tells him, look, you are treading into some dangerous waters here. I'm just letting you know you got to be careful around these guys. I don't want to see you get into any type of trouble. And Joseph Park will say, hey, duly noted. Nice little backstage segment right here between these two guys, because I just love the fact that despite all their history that they had, I just loved how Bully Ray was just trying to come off like, look, I know we had our differences, but look, we need to focus. We need to talk about the big picture right now, which is aces and eights. So I love what was happening right there with their chemistry right there in that little piece. Even though it was very brief, it definitely was a pretty nice, solid backstage segment. And in another backstage segment, we see Austin Aries with that guy I was telling you about earlier by the name of Mike, the one that attacked him last week. He's got him strapped to a chair, and he is pretty much ready to extract information out of him, as he promises he's going to make this guy talk. We'd eventually see Hulk Hogan come in, and he wanted a piece of the action himself, as he sat up and told Austin Aries that he needed to move to the side. And Hulk Hogan, he threw it down. He pretty much was ready to literally pull a Kill Bill move and just pull out the eyeball from this guy's socket, when all of a sudden he would receive a phone call from the Aces and Eights lead man, who wanted to negotiate. That's right, wanted to negotiate. Now, the deal was that Hulk Hogan would sit up, return this guy Mike, but Hogan, he didn't just want to return this guy willingly. He wanted some collateral. He wanted something in exchange. And what he wanted in exchange was for the big guy that broke Austin Aries' arm a couple of weeks back to come down to the ring for the trade-off. But to add to that, Hulk Hogan also wants for this same arm breaker guy to be able to take on Austin Aries at the No Surrender pay-per-view. So those are the stipulations, and it sounds as if the Aces and Eights leader accepted those conditions. So it looks like for now they have to leave poor Mikey alone, at least until they trade him off to the arm breaker guy. Now from there, folks, next up we had also got to see our next match, which was a Bound for Glory series match, as Bully Ray took on RVD. If you are a Bully Ray fan, you definitely would have appreciated this match. I mean, Bully Ray, what can you really say about Bully Ray? This was one of those matches that was just one of the main highlights of the night. This was definitely a number one in my book. These two guys, they really put it all out there. They delivered, in my mind, a top-notch quality type of match. I mean, this match just had me in awe. It's not every day I can sit up and say, man, Bully Ray, 5-star match. And I'm not exaggerating. I actually had played it back while I was watching the live stream of Impact Wrestling on Spike TV, on my TV set here, and I was just amazed at this match. I mean, these two guys, they were really throwing it down. I just loved how the match had ended, as we saw Bully Ray, something that he doesn't do enough of, in my honest opinion. We saw him in the match with a Bubba Cutter, but it was the way he executed it, how it was pulled off. It was like one of those, if you're a WWE fan or a WCW fan, it was almost like one of those Diamond Dallas Page or Randy Orton moments, as we see RVD he has Bully Ray just laying there, and he is just ready to deliver that 5-star frog splash. And the next thing you know, Bully Ray, he gets up and just out of nowhere, he just hits him with the Bubba Cutter to pick up the win. I mean, it was just freaking insane. A lot of us were just looking at this, and we were like, man, what the hell? And in a good way. I mean, it was just really amazing to see Bully Ray just pull that off. But, I mean, both of these two guys, I mean, we got to give them enough praise. I know we have some people that sit up and say, it needs to be about the younger guys. These older guys are getting too much camera time. Let me just say this with regards to RVD and Bully Ray. Though they might be in their early 40s, these two guys, they definitely did not disappoint tonight. This is how good that match was. In my book, they need to put that on a DVD whenever they decide to make a little greatest hits for this year or something. That definitely was a pretty good match. And sadly, folks, despite how good that match was, you know somebody needs to be eliminated. Well, it turns out it would be no other than Rob Van Dam that would get eliminated. So his Bound for Glory Series championship hunt, it came to an end tonight as, guess what, James Storm, since he commands the lead still, he gets to choose who he's going to be facing in the semifinals. That's right. So later on tonight, we would actually see James Storm come out, and we would see him invite Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, Bully Ray to the ring. And James Storm, he made his pick a very obvious one. He did not beat around the bush. He did not play any cut cards. He pretty much called out Bully Ray and told him that he's going to be seeing a whole different side to him come this Sunday at the No Surrender pay-per-view. So that semifinal match is on. It is going to be James Storm, the Cowboy, taking on Bully Nation, the leader himself, Bully Ray, as Samoa Joe will be taking on Jeff Hardy. The semifinals is on. Hopefully when the dust has settled, we will definitely know who the final person will be that will be standing victorious, as we haven't even begun scratching the surface yet of what you all will be expecting for the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view, and we'll be definitely talking about that shortly, folks, so do hang tight about that. And also, we saw a pretty cool segment here where Magnus, for a second night in a row, he made another appearance where he had jumped in on RVD, who was talking with Christy Hemme about his loss, and we would see Magnus say to RVD, hey, maybe you need to face facts, Rob. Maybe your time is up. You're not quite exactly the same man that you used to be. Could it be you're possibly losing your touch? Kind of played off of a little scenario that we saw from another wrestling promotion a couple of weeks back, if you are able to read between those lines. As we saw Rob Van Dam, he did not like hearing what Magnus had to say, and he just sucker punched him, and a fight was about to erupt, but we saw D'Lo Brown. I love it when we see D'Lo Brown, but man, that guy's gotten huge, hasn't he, folks? I almost didn't recognize him except for the way his head was shaped. That was the only reason why I knew it was D'Lo Brown. He even had that little head jerk going on, even though he wasn't trying to do it intentionally. And we saw Al Snow, TNA officials, they broke up the fight. I loved how Magnus was just being used right there. He's just really coming off as a pompous jerk. I was just really liking that. Pretty awesome right there. From there, folks, next up, we definitely got to pick it up and let you guys know what had happened with the tag team titles, as that was our fourth match of the evening, as Hulk Hogan, he eliminates a few more people. Now, the people that we would see him eliminate next up would be Kid Cash and Gunner, as he felt that they were just taking things too personal, that they couldn't really just focus on business at hand, so he eliminated them. It boiled down to Chavo Guerrero, Hernandez, and Big Robbie, Little Robbie. Well, Hulk Hogan would reward that number one contender spot to face Daniels and Kazarian for the titles tonight. He would reward it to none other than Chavo and Hernandez. And I know we had a lot of people that were groaning when they saw this match, because they were saying to themselves, oh no, please, let's not have this be a case where Daniels and Kazarian lose the belts, because that just wouldn't make sense. And you have Chavo, Hernandez. They haven't even been a tag team that long. What the heck is going on here? Definitely a lot of people were a bit agitated when they saw this match, as it really kind of looked as if there, especially towards the end, it really looked as if Chavo and Hernandez were going to pick up those tag belts, but that would not be the case. We would see Kazarian and Daniels pull out an upset. It was definitely, surprisingly, a really good match. It was definitely one of those type of matches that had me sitting up saying, okay, it's good that Chavo and Hernandez did not get the tag titles tonight. However, definitely would love to see some type of a program continue on involving those four guys. Might we possibly see a rematch this Sunday? Who knows? I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just hope that if a rematch does happen this Sunday, that the tag champions will retain again at that point too, as I think they have something going on here with this particular storyline. And of course, folks, we got hit with some major news, as Taz, Mike Tenay, they updated us on everything that we're going to be able to expect at this Sunday's TNA No Surrender pay-per-view, as they announced the following matches. Now, this one was late-breaking news during the broadcast, as we got to hear that AJ Styles will be teaming up with the Olympic gold medalist himself, Kurt Angle, to take on Kazarian and Daniels. That's right, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be for the TNA tag title, so that's going to be a pretty damn good match right there. Also, the Bound for Glory semifinals continues on, as we will get to see Samoa Joe take on Jeff Hardy. Bully Ray will take on James Storm. Also announced, RVD will be taking on Magnus. Miss Tessmacher will be defending her TNA Knockouts title against Tara. Here's a name that has not been heard on Impact Wrestling television within recent weeks. Zema Ion will be making a pay-per-view appearance, as he'll be defending the X Division title against, hey, where the hell has this guy been? One minute he's here, the next minute he's gone. No, I'm not just talking about Sanjay Dutt, but the person that he's going to be taking on, as yeah, I just revealed it right there. Zema Ion is going to be taking on Sanjay Dutt. We also got Samoa Joe taking on Jeff Hardy. So it's going to be a pretty good match card that we got so far for the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. Definitely expect more matches to be announced. I'm definitely looking forward to it right there. Of course, the main attraction for tonight, we got to see Austin Aries come out with Little Mikey to the ring, and he was calling out Aces and Nates, imploring them to come down to the ring so they could do this even trade, or else Mikey was going to get it. Aces and Nates, they would not come down. We see Austin Aries, he starts slapping up Little Mikey for a bit and knocks him down on the floor. He is just getting really mad. Finally, out of nowhere, we see a few Aces and Eights members. They come down to the ring. They actually pull Mikey out of the ring. They attack him to the point that they knock him out cold. And then this huge guy, you know the guy, it's the same guy that broke Austin Aries' arm last week. He sits up and he just starts going to the body of Austin Aries, and these two guys, they just keep going back and forth at each other. As, guess what, folks? Impact Wrestling ends just like that. I know, right? And we hear Mike Tenay sitting up saying, oh, and these two guys will be getting it on this Sunday. Now, here's where I have a little problem here. You know, I try to be as unbiased as possible when it comes to TNA wrestling. We know how you guys sit up, and unfortunately you hear some wrestling radio shows, they sit up and they just bash the hell out of a particular show and product week after week after week. They never have anything constructive to say, or if they do need to make some point of criticisms, it doesn't exactly come off that they're giving constructive criticism. It just sounds like they're on a big bashing rant. Now, I've been very supportive of the type of shows that TNA Wrestling has been putting out within recent weeks. However, this particular episode, I kind of had a problem with it. Now, I kind of was under the impression that there was just a little bit too much backstage segments, but I was able to deal with it because it was moving along certain storylines. Okay, so I could appreciate that. However, I wasn't exactly too keen on sitting up and seeing Impact Wrestling in the way that it did. I mean, I'm going to tell you the reason why I didn't like the way that it ended. For you hardcore TNA wrestling fans, if you guys remember how Impact Wrestling used to come on, what was it, Fox Sports Net years back when they were only on there for like a year, if you remember that far back, remember how TNA Wrestling used to just abruptly end? I mean, you could have Jeff Jarrett in the middle of the ring, and he's talking, and all of a sudden, as soon as that 100-hour hits, that's it. The feed is just over. Well, this was pretty much exactly how this last segment between Austin Aries and the Arm Breaker, as he kept being dubbed for Aces and Eights, that's pretty much how it ended. So I was kind of sitting up and I'm saying to myself, okay, I understand you guys are trying to drive home the fact that Austin Aries is going to be fighting this guy this Sunday on pay-per-view, but I just thought it was a little bit poorly executed. It kind of seemed to me like it was just rushed, that not more thought was put into how tonight's show should have ended properly. It just kind of struck to me as if the writers weren't really too sure on how to close the episode. And I'm just kind of saying to myself, well, wait a minute now. We have Mike Tenay saying that Aries and the Arm Breaker are going to get it on this Sunday, but we did not exactly get any type of confirmation from that. We never heard Aces and Eights member or the main guy that be talking sit up and say, hey, Austin Aries, you got your match this Sunday. Good luck, little punk. We never heard anything like that. No video, Tron image or footage of Aces and Eights talking, nothing like that. So it's kind of silly, I think, to just put out there that, oh, Austin Aries and the Arm Breaker guy are going to be getting it on this Sunday at No Surrender. I think what should have happened was we should have had the big man, the voice of Aces and Eights, come on the Titantron like he always does and say, hey, Austin Aries, Hulk Hogan, you want to sit up and you want to fight one of our own this Sunday? Well, be sure to make sure you're there this Sunday because we'll have an answer to that challenge as it's going to be on our time and at our beat. That's basically how it should have ended, and the cliffhanger could have been Mike Tenay and Taz saying, wow, well, will Austin Aries be able to get some type of retribution this Sunday at No Surrender? Folks, you definitely don't want to miss the pay-per-view. I think that would have been a better sale, honestly. I just didn't like the way this came off. It just really came off very confusing, quite honestly, to the person that's viewing it at home. You're sitting up saying, okay, what exactly did I just watch here? It's like I didn't exactly hear confirmation that these two are actually going to have a match. So And the other thing that kind of pops up in my mind, too, is where the hell was Hogan? Where the hell was Bully Ray? Where the hell was RVD? Where the hell was AJ Styles? Where were the same people that had sat up for the past couple of weeks, looked as if they were united, and they were definitely there to represent TNA and make sure that none of them were being left flying solo to be ganged up by aces and eights? Where were they tonight? Of all the nights that Austin Aries should have had some type of backup, he definitely should have had that backup tonight. So it was just one of those scenarios where I kind of looked at that particular segment, and I'm saying to myself, okay, But in either case, I still thought that tonight's episode was definitely pretty solid. Definitely a very strong episode. I have to say, out of a scale of 1 to 10, keeping what I just said in mind, little negatives in there, I would give tonight's Impact Wrestling a modest, it's a tough one. It's between a 7.5 and an 8, because on the one hand, I liked how everything just made sense for tonight's broadcast. I loved how they were just plugging the pay-per-view matches. I just really loved all that. I mean, they were able to get so much information in there. I just really loved how they were able to just pull it all off smoothly. But then you also had that other side where they kind of sat up and they kind of poorly executed that last segment there. But, yeah, I'd have to say a modest 7.5, 8. I definitely would have to stick to that. I love what's happening with the Joey Ryan, Al Snow piece, despite the fact that surprisingly we've actually heard a few people express their concern for this Joey Ryan TNA wrestling rivalry. I mean, we have some people that are sitting up and they're saying to themselves, well, you know what, this has just been dragging out far too long. It's been happening for almost 4 months. This should have wrapped up really way before September. As one guy had put it on Twitter, one of our new followers, and for those of you that recently took the liberty of following us on Twitter within the past week here, we definitely want to give you guys a shout-out as we've been picking up quite a few new followers on Twitter. Our new Twitter follower, I Am Cal, he sat up and said, it's stupid to have started it in May and just now having it come on TV officially in September. I mean, he brings up a very valid point. His whole argument is that this Joey Ryan thing has just been going on far too long, that many people, they know that Joey Ryan has some type of a contract. Why is this just continuing to be drawn out? And I could kind of appreciate that argument, but then at the same time, it's just what I said on our weekend edition of the RCWR show. Enjoy the ride for its worth. If you already know that Joey Ryan has, I mean, let's be for real. Joey Ryan has some type of a deal with TNA. That's a no-brainer. I mean, honestly, if somebody was really going to be causing that much mischief in a wrestling organization, don't you think, honestly, after the, 3rd out of 12 times that Joey Ryan has popped up in Impact Wrestling, don't you think at least that 3rd time something would have happened to him to the point where he would have got arrested or what have you? So, I mean, come on, just the fact that he's in the arena and he's with the fans, that lets you know right there that this is a work. So really it's about just kicking back and enjoying the ride for all it's worth. And, some of you guys, you make very valid arguments. Now, I can appreciate the argument that the Joey Ryan storyline has just been going on way too long. Okay, I can definitely give you that. But when you sit up and you talk about the whole contract, who's he trying to kid, I mean, that's where you're sadly mistaken. I mean, quite honestly, if you've been sitting up this long debating over the fact if Ryan worked out some type of a deal with them, then it's really time that you play catch-up is all I got to say. Honestly, I love what's been going on with this whole Joey Ryan thing. The only complaint I ever had with this whole piece was that I wish it would have been Taz, because it just seemed like initially Taz would have been the better way to go, but I understand that Taz, he just really was not trying to have a match. He really did not want to have anything to do with Joey Ryan in the ring, and they had no choice but to shift the attention over to Al Snow. And notice kind of how passive Taz has been with this whole Joey Ryan Al Snow program. I mean, he doesn't feed into it like he did in the past. I just thought that was very interesting. I couldn't help but observe what all Taz was saying tonight as Joey Ryan was getting ready to talk with Al Snow. He was just pretty passive. It was kind of like, okay, next segment. So, I definitely think that Al Snow, Joey Ryan, they're definitely going to have a pretty good match. Hopefully, once these two guys do lock it up, I mean, we all know it's most likely going to happen. We're probably going to see Joey Ryan pick up the win, and to the surprise of a lot of people, Joey Ryan gets a contract, while really, he pretty much has already had some type of deal going on. But nonetheless, I think these two guys are definitely going to have a pretty good, solid match. Definitely will be more entertaining than that one match I saw of Al Snow on that Extreme Reunion DVD, which reminds me I got to try to see how the next pay-per-view event went, as I saw this one match he did recently with C.W. Anderson. Let's just say with regards to that match and just that entire pay-per-view, the chick that took off her shirt to reveal her chest was more entertaining than that match. So, let's go on ahead right now and let's take a brief commercial break, and then when we come right back, we'll get you guys caught up on the very latest in TNA wrestling. And I definitely want to let you guys know as soon as we come back that one of the things that we're going to be talking about is this disturbing rumor that had spread about this former TNA wrestler, WWE wrestler, that supposedly could end up dying in the next 24 hours. You definitely don't want to miss this. It was one of those type of storylines I came across, and I actually happen to have a friend that knows this wrestler. And when I heard this, the first thing I did, I said, hey, is it true that so-and-so, was like, hell no, where'd you hear that? I said, well, so you definitely don't want to miss that piece. Definitely going to appreciate what I have to say about that. Definitely a special message that needs to be sent out right there. And we'll get you guys ready for TNA No Surrender weekend, as we'll give you guys a couple of quick programming notes. So we're going to go on ahead and we're going to take a brief commercial break for just about less than 3 minutes, and then when we come right back, we'll jump all right into it. So hang tight, folks. You're listening to a new episode of Impact Showdown Radio, coming at you live September 6th, 2012. We'll be coming right back, folks. Do hang tight.
Tired of those wrestling websites that give you redirects, spyware, weird pop-ups? How about those misleading headlines? Instead of hitting the keyboard in frustration, why not visit InfinityOneProductions.com? Infinity One is the source for wrestling-related news and so much more without all the hassle. Visit InfinityOneProductions.com. Your keyboard will thank you.
Hey guys, Lee Sanders here with the RCWR Show, and I'd like to take this time out to tell you about one or two quick apps that I think you should check out when you get a free moment. First app I'd like to recommend to you is the app from Stitcher. Now, Stitcher allows you to be able to play all our episodes of the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown on your portable devices, such as an Android phone, Kindle Fire, iPad, you name it, it'll be able to play it. So definitely highly recommend that you check that out. It's available for free in the App Store. Stitcher, new and smart way to play radio. Also, another cool app that I'd like to recommend to you all is a new app that came out not too long ago from Apple. That's right, Apple has recently come out with a free podcast app. Now, this app is really cool, folks, because after we are done doing our shows, all you have to do is just subscribe to our episodes. And you can do this by downloading this new free podcast app. All you have to do, visit the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search podcast. Once the app is downloaded, you can then type in the name of our shows, the RCWR Show and Impact Showdown, and you'll be able to subscribe. It's that easy. So you have 2 cool free apps that you can check out and take all our episodes with you on the go. So get to it already.
All right, and we are back. You're listening to a new Impact Showdown Radio coming at you live right now on blogtalkradio.com/the RCWR Show. So, quick programming note for you guys. Coming up this Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern, you'll be able to catch a new RCWR show, Call That Match Special, as it's that time once again. It's match prediction time. I'm going to be offering my predictions on who I think will be winning at this Sunday's TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. If you guys want to try to be a part of that show, and when we get ready to do the remixed version for our YouTube subscribers, special shout-out to you YouTube subscribers, by the way, as we've picked up quite a few followers since last we were on the air. Definitely send us your video reply within 2 minutes or less of your match predictions. You can send it to us on our YouTube channel. Send it our way at the RCWR Show. That's our channel up on YouTube. If you are spot on, we will definitely show you love and we will give you props on the air. No problem whatsoever. So you have until this Saturday at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern to turn in your video reply. So good luck to you guys, and hopefully you all can come up with some pretty cool stuff. To our good friend Philip, who always goes into the chat room as always and be having some really cool, interesting stuff to say. Tonight he wants to know, where is the lovely co-producer Tammy? The lovely co-producer Tammy is actually not here tonight. Maybe I might be able to get her help on the RCWR Post Show covering the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view this Sunday. I don't know. I'll have to see. I might be a one-man band for just a hot minute. I'm not really sure. But, hey, we got the Black Avenger right here, and that's all that counts right now. But, Philip, I'll tell her you said hello, bro. So, you know, before we go into TNA wrestling news, there was this really, really disturbing story that I had heard as I was kicking back and I'm watching Impact Wrestling Live and I'm interacting with you guys on Twitter. And it was just one of these disturbing type of stories that I heard. And I was like, huh? And first thing I did when I heard this storyline, this so-called piece of news, I sat up, I did a Google search, I did a Bing search, I did a I did a Yahoo search. Hell, might as well say Yahoo too. I did all the damn search engines trying to confirm that what I was reading was legit. Now, here's the story. You guys remember Who's Ready for a Pounce? Mr. Alpha Male himself, Monty Brown, Marcus Corvon. You guys remember him? Well, for you TNA Hardcore Original fans, you definitely will remember that guy, as he was pretty much the black version of The Rock, and he was pretty daggone successful in TNA wrestling back in the day, as he was in TNA from 2002 to 2006. and he, if I'm not mistaken, was a TNA World Heavyweight Champion or NWA World Heavyweight Champion. And just to get you guys caught up to speed, he had signed with WWE a few years back, but he abruptly left after just about 1 year because he had to take care of some personal things with his family. So he left for a really unspecified reason, claiming it was family issues, and he just never returned as he was released from his WWE contract back on September 19th of 2007. Didn't even make a television appearance. Now, since then, he's been living a private civilian life. He has been a personal trainer. That's it. Now, the storyline that is going around right now, and that's exactly what it is, it's a storyline. There is this website, and I'm not going to even do this guy justice by mentioning the name of this website. Let me say this. They claim that they are the number one in pro wrestling news, MMA fights, okay? Now, I will put his name out there, so you guys should definitely be aware of him, as I think that's how much of a knucklehead that this guy is. And I'm actually on Twitter right now reading what you all are saying on here and still interacting with you during tonight's show. The name of this guy is Kent Jones. Now, eventually you'll be able to put two and two together, and you'll be able to figure out what website it is that he has. Now, this guy put out this ridiculous story that Marcus Corvon was involved in some type of a accident, that he was filming a movie on some urban type of lands in Africa somewhere, and he got into a dispute with the director, and he walked off. And as a result of that, he had not been seen for basically several days, and that there was a bad tropical storm, and many believed that he basically was going to be dead within the next 24 hours if they did not find him, as they felt that they were going to have to put an end to the search for his body. So the first thing I did, as I said, I'm looking it up in the search engines. I'm not finding anything. I go to Wikipedia, as I know a hardcore wrestling fan, they are usually on some type of stuff like that. Nothing. For you guys that know your wrestling news, you know your wrestling websites, you know if Dave Meltzer ain't talking about it, you know if Ryan Clark, who's had a notorious reputation for copying and pasting, you know if he's not copying and pasting, then you know something weird is going on. And hopefully, I would think by now that you would definitely consider us to be one of your wrestling news sources, as we try to give you concrete facts and we try to actually give you food for thought on what it is that we're able to come across. Hopefully you appreciate our style when we report, as we also have been building up the reputation over the past recent weeks of posting original articles that really, really gives you food for thought. And one good example is, should Team 3D go back to the WWE, and if so, how should they be utilized? If you haven't read that article piece yet, I'll definitely give you an insight as to the type of content that you can expect on our website at infinityOneProductions.com. Really great read. I know one guy has said, personally, I would prefer the Dudleys. Look, the Dudleys, Team 3D, the Dudley Boys, Devon Bully Ray. What should happen if they go back to WWE? That's the main freaking point. So you definitely will appreciate that. But we see this guy, he posts this ridiculous story, and the first thing I'm saying to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. And then I start thinking about the people I know, and I'm like, wait a minute. Doesn't so-and-so know so-and-so, know so-and-so, that's a friend of Monty Brown? I'm like, yes. So I dig up a number, and I say, hey, I found out this story about Monty Brown, blah, blah. No, I haven't heard a damn thing. I didn't even receive no text or nothing like that. And I'm like, okay, have I missed something? Because I know I wasn't really paying attention to wrestling for almost the past week. I was on a little bit of a vacation, and any reports on Monty Brown? No, last thing heard on Monty Brown was that he pretty much had left WWE a couple of years back, and he's been a personal trainer. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, okay. Well, yeah, there's this story going around that Monty Brown is possibly going to be dying because he's in some type of frickin' tropical forest or some shit. What? Yeah. Won't you get in contact with blah, 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 find out if blah, 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 yakety smackety. So I'm watching Impact Wrestling. I get a text message like about 10 minutes later. No, Monty Brown is alive. It's like, really? Yeah, he's alive. All right, that's all I needed to know. So I blasted the hell out of this guy, and it turns out a few other people had blasted the hell out of this guy too. And he sat up and he tried to say stuff like, oh, I worked so hard on that story. If you marks can't appreciate a good rib story, then that's on you. And I hit him on that, you didn't think of this, did you, dumbass, kind of tip. And I basically told him, I said, you know what, you have this big old banner that sits up and says you're the number one source for pro wrestling news, MMA, but yet your website rank is 4,600,000, blah, 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 blah. You're not even on the freaking radar in the search engines. Okay, so that's number one. So this whole claim about being the number one wrestling website, I'm sorry, but even as good of content that we will write for our website, we do not even claim to be number one. So let's get that out the way right now. So that's your first mistake right there. Your second mistake is that you didn't sit up and you didn't put some type of a disclaimer at the very end of this article saying, hey, for you guys, don't freak out. We're just ribbing you guys. Let us know what you think of this story. No type of disclaimer at all. The third thing that I pointed out to this guy, I said you might want to go on ahead and you might want to retract that story, because if you're not careful, if falling onto the wrong set of eyes, you could possibly get a lawsuit on your hands, because you are basically spreading a very ill rumor. You're providing falsified information. You're not even naming sources. None of that. It's a defamation of character. Your website, you personally, you could be sued. Next thing you know, you're going to be looking stupid. And I threw in there, oh, and by the way, Monty Brown is alive. So, yeah, you really might want to pull that story off. So, I just had to put this whole thing out there, because when I heard it, I just thought it was disturbing. You know what? I am all for a laugh, okay? I have a great sense of personality. I love a good laugh, especially a good wrestling laugh story. I know there's this one group of people on Twitter, TNA Creative is their handle. They say some hilarious stuff every single week. We also have the evil Mr. McMahon on Twitter, who has been known to say some pretty hilarious stuff. Definitely two cats that make you chuckle while you're watching your favorite wrestling shows. But this one right here, it just really took the whole cake, and the guy just was not manning up, accepting responsibility, and it's no wonder he only has with so few followers, and he's not really following too many people, and it serves right. Now, this guy knew what he was doing, but, really what it was all about was just trying to strike up some type of traffic for his website, trying to make himself look all big, bad, and important. And this was one of those type of guys. He wasn't even following us. I think it was a case where we were interacting with one of our usual Impact Wrestling fans, and he took it upon himself to just inject himself into the conversation that we were having with one of our listeners and followers, and he just gave us this ridiculous story. And so, you know, my message to you guys, you got to be careful when you come across stuff like that. Before you go jumping the gun and wanting to share the link with all your friends, you might want to make sure that you do like we do. You know, you kick back and you try to see if you can somehow verify this. I know one of the main things that we always look for whenever we see something that's being reported, we always try to look for a source. We don't really like talking about speculation, rumors. We don't really like stuff like that. We want stuff that's definitely concrete, that is without a doubt, yes, this is exactly what's going on, and, you know, here's these sources that we can name the credit for that can back up what's being said. You know, we like stuff like that. If you can't name sources, then unfortunately your word don't mean shit. It ain't bond. So that's all I got to say about that. Let's go ahead and let's switch gears up now, and let's get you guys caught up on the latest of what you all have missed TNA wrestling news-wise, as it's been pretty quiet, but shockingly, folks, get this. The very lovely Katrina Walters, a.k.a. Miss Winter, has parted ways with the TNA Wrestling Organization. That's right. Now, Winter's contract had expired yesterday, and it hasn't been renewed. Now, Winters, I said her name right, Winters. I was thinking of another name for some reason, but Winters, she basically sat up and she announced on her official fan site that she is now available for bookings, that she's free to do DVDs, bookings, iPay-per-views, whatever else. So we definitely had reached out to her, and we told her, we said, look, been fans of yours for a long time, and me personally, I've been a fan of her since WWE. I remember when she was being the personal valet eventually for Paul Burchill and all that, when he was still kind of pushing that whole pirate gimmick going on. I thought she was pretty freaking awesome back then, and I was just loving it when she had came over to TNA Wrestling, as I just felt that she was finally going to be given the true spotlight to shine and really showcase her skills. And she was. I mean, she had been in TNA since 2010, just almost immediately following her release from the WWE. And within that time span that she was in the company, she became a two-time Knockouts champion and a one-time Knockouts tag team champion with Angelina Love. Now, remember, folks, one of the last storylines that we had saw her in was involving Angelina, and then all of a sudden the storyline just abruptly came to an end. I think it was earlier this year at the start of January, and since then nothing really has been happening for Winter. Now, as we all know, Angelina Love, she was granted release from her contract from the company back on July 1st. Now, looks like here's another scenario now where we have another knockout that has left the organization. I mean, that's what now, folks? That's Angelina Love. That's Velvet Sky. Now we got Winter into the mix as well. Man, the names, they just keep growing more and more. It really kind of comes off as if we're losing folks from TNA, at least one a month. It seems very disturbing when you hear this. Now, as reported last month, Winter will be teaming up with Maria Kanellis to take on the reunited Beautiful People, as Angelina Love and Velvet Sky, they'll be reforming that, and it'll be going down sometime next month for the FWE promotion. So that should be a pretty cool moment right there. And also, we definitely want to get you guys caught up on a new rumor that's been going around here. And we really don't like talking about rumors, but in this one, I definitely wanted to take a bite at it. and take a stab, because it was just something that a lot of people have been talking about, and it ties into Christian. Now, as we all know, Christian, he had a little bit of time there in the WWE. He had some time in TNA, and that he's getting ready to pop up for the Bound for Glory pay-per-view weekend, as he's going to be inducting Sting into the first TNA Hall of Fame. Now, a lot of people, they've been very curious about why Christian has been kept off of WWE programming for so long. And we have just a number of these reports that suggest that WWE, they don't want to sit up and utilize Christian right now because they don't want to give too much exposure to TNA, as they're going to begin to just pluck the heck out of him for making that appearance for their promotion, for the induction ceremony. So it is being highly rumored now that Christian is going to be kept off of TV until Bound for Glory is over. Then he's going to come back, and he's probably going to be involved in a major program. Who knows? But we're also getting reports coming in that Christian could be popping up as early as this Monday night's Raw. Now, again, we aren't really the type of guys that like to be sitting up and be talking about rumors and speculation and all that other stuff. Now, I can only approach this from a booking standpoint and the owner of a company. If there is another organization that I'm not really too fond of, especially if I have some type of pending lawsuit against them right now, and a deal has already been reached where I'm going to send one of my employees down to their company to basically help them out with an event, 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to sit up and I'm probably just going to let this guy work house shows. I'm going to keep him off main live television programming. I'm just going to have him do house shows, period. That's it. Have him do dark matches. That's it. I'm not going to put him on live TV and almost set him up in a type of way where he'll be getting double exposure from us and exposure from our rival promotion or our rival company. I'm not going to sit up and afford them that luxury of being able to capitalize on him. So I think the way things are happening with WWE right now, I think they're playing it smart. If he does happen to show up on Raw or SmackDown way before this pay-per-view goes down, way before this Hall of Fame induction goes down, then you know what? Hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to really read between the lines with regards to that. But I just thought it was a very interesting topic to cover because so many people, they were just all up in arms. Oh, Christian, what's happening with Christian? Hey, I'm a Miss Christian just like the next guy. I mean, he definitely needs to be on the SmackDown roster right now. They could really use all the help that they can get. I mean, seriously, let Raw be left alone. Raw has all the people that it needs. SmackDown needs all the help it could get, but I just really thought that was something I definitely should tackle. I know a lot of people, they just can't really wrap their finger around that whole thing. Just let it be how it is. Let's just wait until more information becomes available. Same thing, like what had happened with that whole Monty Brown thing, and I've been saying it for weeks. I am like that guy walking down the street beating that drum, saying don't always believe everything that you read and see. Just kind of kick back, wait a few days, see what all happens till you're able to really get a hold of some concrete facts. That's the best way you can handle it right there. That's the best advice I give to anybody, So that's pretty much going to do it. So let's get you guys ready for, one thing that did kind of come across my mind here. And I definitely got to say this, and I'm going to end it on a high note. King Mo, or as I like to call him, Mojo Jojo, recently sat up and he did a interview with the Miami Herald talking about how he's going to be debuting on TNA very soon, and he revealed that he's getting ready to do wrestling training next month. so that he can get ready to do his debut in TNA later the same month. So I'm sitting up, and I've been under the impression the whole time that King Mojo Jojo has been training, and he's pretty much going to be ready to go as soon as he's given the green light. But no, he hasn't even been to wrestling training school or nothing. So it's like, what the hell is going on here? I am just really concerned about what is going to be happening with this guy when he pops up in TNA. I just have this weirdest vibe that it is going to blow up in their face. Hearing news like this, it doesn't make me feel confident that Mojo is even going to have some type of chance at longevity in TNA wrestling. I hope I'm wrong here. I mean, I wish TNA nothing but success, because there's going to be a lot riding on this. If they're not able to really hit a home run here with their partnership of Bellator Fighting, it's very well possible we could see Bellator Fighting become very alienated with how King Mo's being utilized from that organization, and they decide that they don't want to do any type of future business with them. I mean, who knows? But, I mean, I know if it was me and my guy's not being properly utilized, I wouldn't send him back to that promotion and do work for them. So there's definitely going to be a lot riding here. Very curious to see what's going to be happening with this. But I just definitely thought I'd mention that. I know a few people have been talking about that. I definitely wanted to chime in my thoughts. My message for TNA Wrestling, I would not be so quick to have this guy pop up in October or in the very near future. Honestly, if he is just now training or getting ready to train in a couple of weeks, I would not have him pop up until the beginning of 2013. I would try to have him pop up during February sweeps, quite honestly. That's when you really want to be concerned about ratings and all that good stuff. So have him pop up during February sweeps, or actually, if I'm not mistaken, I believe there's November sweeps too. November, he could be ready. If he shows signs of improvement and he definitely is almost ready to go, then I could kind of entertain the thought of a November. But if you really want to make sure that he's going to be spot on good, then I'd say just wait until February. No reason to have a scenario like this pop up and blow up in your face, because the TNA wrestling fans, they will definitely let their voices be heard when they see something that sucks. As example, that Claire Lynch storyline, if they are not feeling what's happening with that King Mojo Jojo guy, they definitely are going to let their voices be heard. So, guys, we got a pretty cool jam-packed weekend for you all. We're going to be gearing up to do that TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. Make sure you guys are able to check out our Call That Match special of the RCWR Show. It's going to be airing this Tuesday afternoon, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll be able to catch that. I'm going to be offering my match predictions on who I think will be winning the No Surrender pay-per-view. It's going to be pretty awesome. Also, be sure to check out a new RCWR Post Show coming this Sunday, immediately after the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. You'll be able to catch that at 11 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be really awesome. We're going to be sharing with you all the fallout from the pay-per-view. We'll definitely include some fan reactions. It's going to be a pretty solid show. You definitely want to check that out. Special shout-out to our guys in the chat room right now. We got Don from the New York area, as always. We appreciate him. We got Philip in the chat room, as always. It feels good to be back. I can't believe I was gone for 6 days there, but I definitely needed to recharge my batteries a little bit. I am so sorry for those of you that had called into the show and you were expecting to be able to call into the show and let your lovely voices be heard on the air. But like I said at the start of the show, I definitely had wanted to touch on what I thought was a sensitive subject, as really when it comes to bad rumors like that, you really don't want to be spreading stuff like that, because as I said earlier, it's a defamation of character. And, if you don't watch it, there could be serious legal ramifications. And plus, it's just not cool going around sitting up saying that somebody died, and especially when it's not even true. So, we'll definitely make up for this. We'll definitely include you all's thoughts on how you enjoy or dislike the pay-per-view this Sunday, as we're definitely going to be looking to have a pretty interactive post-show with you guys. So that's going to pretty much do it. We are going to be on a 48-hour break until this Saturday. Good to be back, guys. Can't wait to really start getting this ball rolling, as I've been paying attention to everything that's been happening this week in wrestling, and we were only talking about Impact Wrestling. I am just itching for next Tuesday. I'm waiting to talk about what all had happened on Raw. God, I wish it was Tuesday already, but that's a different topic for another time. I hope you all have a very safe and fantastic weekend. I know some of you are probably getting ready to go back out of town again probably, because this is a short week. Most of you came back to work on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Little kids are finally back at school. Yay! That means you're free for a little bit. So hopefully you guys got some pretty cool plans ready for this weekend, and hopefully you'll be able to join us this Saturday for the RCWR Show Call That Match Special. That's going to do it, folks. Be sure to check out our episodes in the iTunes and Zune marketplaces, free for your listening pleasure. Keywords, the RCWR Show. Also grab that Stitcher app when you get a free chance. You'll be able to take all our episodes with you. Play them on all your portable devices. Stitcher, new and smart way to play internet radio. That's going to do it, folks, until we hear from you guys this Saturday and Sunday for our coverage of the TNA No Surrender pay-per-view. I'm the Black Avenger, as always, Lee Sanders. Until we hear from you guys next time around, you all be safe and you all be kind to one another, folks. We'll see you this weekend. Take care.